Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty player. Can continue to survive these things. Here you see Sophie Cunningham laid out on the floor, holding her knee. The lady was in tears, crying as Lexi Hall approached her to help her.
Immediately, first, look at this. Instantly into the game. Instantly. Immediately. They had a target to hurt Sophie. She was targeted by this team.
Sophie Cunningham suffered a serious knee injury that has sent shockwaves through the WNBA community. The incident occurred after a collision with Bria Hartley. Sophie's family is reportedly outraged over what happened. Hartley has developed a reputation for aggressive, some might even say reckless play. And this situation has only added fuel to that fire. For many fans, this feels eerily similar to what recently happened to Caitlin Clark. And the thought of another star going down like this is tough to watch. If you check the replay, you can clearly see Hartley coming in hard during the play.
There, and Hartley just kind of falls
and
in
she
collision
crushes
with that lower
in
leg. You see her immediately grab
on the
it.
knee of Sophie right here.
She went down.
Just sums up everything. Like, we weren't going to win this game if Sophie Cunningham was healthy. This isn't like, oh, we lost because of a Sophie Cunningham injury. We were down 17 points when she got injured. This
The
happened.
Indiana Fever are going through what can only be described as a nightmare season. Watching their games isn't entertainment. It's an emotional roller coaster that might leave you needing a support group afterward. Fans are already dubbing this campaign a disaster. Frankly, that might be putting it gently. Week after week, the team seems to find new and creative ways to fall apart. Meanwhile, the WNBA appears to be watching from the sidelines, seemingly detached, like a babysitter glued to their phone while chaos unfolds around them.
And it looked like Stephanie White is extremely emotional after this hard-fought game. Sophie Cunningham family is
Officially gone from bad to worse. Sophie Cunningham suffered a devastating knee injury in full view of everyone, a moment that felt more like chaos than basketball. This wasn't some minor sprain or bump. Sophie was left on the court in visible pain, clutching her leg in tears. After a hard collision with Bria Hartley, who barreled into her knee with the force of a linebacker. It was a brutal, heartbreaking scene that's been tough for fans to watch unfold.
I'm hella mad. Hartley need to be suspended on a major level completely. Probably she's at this point.
And here's the kicker. The Fever were already trailing by 17 points when it all went down. Still 17. They were already getting dominated like a junior squad up against pros. Then to make matters worse, the one player actually showing some grit and resilience gets knocked out of the game. If that doesn't capture the absolute chaos of this nightmare season, it's hard to imagine what would.
They wanted to hurt Sophie. They made it their business to hurt Sophie, and that's exactly what they did, was hurt Sophie, and I'm hella mad.
The situation got so intense that Sophie's family didn't hold back. They took to social media and openly slammed the league. Fans quickly followed suit, flooding platforms with criticism and calling out the WNBA for letting things spiral without enforcing real accountability. People were asking tough questions like, how can a pro league let its top talent get injured week after week, while the refs treat it like a casual pickup game at the local gym? Sophie's sister, Lindsay, didn't mince words either, telling the league to stop policing players' comments and start doing something to actually protect them on the court.
Sophie's sister Lindsay and her mom Paula. At WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game, protect your athlete.
Let's take a closer look at the moment that truly set everything off: Sophie's injury. It was the spark that ignited the outrage. And for good reason. The play looked like something you'd expect from a blooper reel, only this time, there was nothing remotely funny about it. Hartley charged straight in and slammed into Sophie's leg, making direct contact. Sophie instantly clutched her knee specifically, her patella signaling it was serious from the very first second.
Sophie's mother, Paula. Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing mean.
The exact moment fans everywhere felt their hearts sink. It might not have screamed ACL, but it had. All the signs of something just as serious, possibly a ruptured or fractured patella. And if you follow sports, you know injuries like that usually mean one thing: season over. Analysts are already saying the odds of her returning this year are slim to none, basically zero. Just think about that, the team's heartbeat. Their mid-season spark plug, gone in an instant.
It's a patella injury. Normally people will hold higher in their knee if it's a knee ligament injury. It looks like she might have either broke.
And here's the kicker: this wasn't even Sophie's first major injury this season. In fact, she's already dealt with 2 serious setbacks, and both of them, they happened against the Connecticut Sun. That's right, twice now. Same team. At some point, you stop calling that a coincidence and start seeing a pattern. It's almost like the basketball gods have it out for the Fever this year, pointing straight at them and saying, "Yep, you're the unlucky ones." Given all that, it's no wonder Sophie's family is furious. She had been the team's most impactful mid-season addition, and now she's sidelined again.
Sophie did not deserve any of that happened to her today, and it is very...
Sophie wasn't just another name on the roster. She was the energy. She brought grit on defense, fired up the team, and was one of the few who consistently had Caitlin Clark's back when no one else seemed willing to step up. And now, all of that presence and intensity is gone. But here's where things really take a turn. If you thought Sophie's injury was just a case of bad luck, it's time to talk about Bria Hartley, quickly becoming the WNBA's top tier villain. If this league had its own set of trading cards, Hartley's would probably come with a disclaimer: handle with caution.
Sophie Cunningham out for the year. How can this team continue to survive? We bring in Ari McDonald because of injuries, and who would have thought? Caitlin Clark would be out most of the year. Sophie Cunningham will have a season.
Hartley's reputation has been so I'm even surprised they saw this coming. This wasn't some isolated incident. It's just the latest entry in what's become a full-on highlight reel of mayhem. Earlier this season, she infamously yanked Angel Reese by the ponytail, straight out of a WWE playbook. And just days before Sophie's injury, she grabbed Becca Allen by the head and threw her to the floor. We're talking multiple ejections, endless cheap shots. At this point, it feels like she's actively campaigning for the title of dirtiest player in the game.
Told you guys this girl was a dirty player, and that's all she did today was show how dirty she is. This is unfortunate. I don't know.
This isn't just social media noise. Serious critics are accusing Hartley of deliberately targeting players, even suggesting she's out to end careers. And after what just happened to Sophie Cunningham, can anyone honestly say they're wrong? Hartley already came into this game with a reputation messier than a gas station restroom, and now Sophie's knee is wrecked after a direct collision with her. How many coincidences do we need before we just call it what it is?
Some sportscasters
have already crowned her the dirtiest player in the league, putting her name right alongside Deja Carrington. And fans, they're convinced Sophie was singled out. Even her family isn't sugarcoating it. They've made it clear. Hartley doesn't just play hard. She plays dangerously out of control.
She is a dirty, dirty player. She pulled Angel Reese out of the air by her ponytail. Angel Reese is ready to fight. Just last
point, we have to ask the obvious. Where's the WNBA in all of this? Where are the suspensions? Where's the accountability? When star players are dropping like flies, the bare minimum any league should do is protect the ones still on the court. But instead, what we're seeing is total silence. And it's so bad that some people are actually calling for a civil rights investigation into the league's officiating culture. Let that sink in. Civil rights investigation in a professional basketball league. It's how far off the rails this has gone. Fans aren't just frustrated anymore. They're furious. They see a league where reckless plays go unchecked, where the dirtiest players face no real consequences, and where the officiating looks like it couldn't even manage a church wreck game, let alone a professional one. Interview.
I don't know if it's her knee. I don't know if it's her Achilles, the way she was kind of dragging her foot. I don't know. But Bria Hartley has had dirty plays all season. But you got to know who we're talking.
What makes Sophie's injury so much bigger than just another player getting hurt? This isn't only about her. It's about the environment the WNBA has allowed to fester. An environment where a player like Bria Hartley, with a growing track record of dangerous plays, keeps hitting the court week after week without meaningful consequences. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just another name. She was the spark. The only one willing to stand up for Caitlin Clark and bring real fire to the Fever. Now she's left in tears on the hardwood while the officials look on,
Doing
nothing. And to top it off, the Fever were already getting blown out by 17 points when it happened. Just another chapter in a season where solid basketball has been missing and chaos has taken the lead. In
reality, you know, because she is somebody's daughter, she is somebody's sister, and this is just unfortunate. And those of you who don't think a civil rights investigation need to be brought upon this league is tripping.
Let's be real, the officiating in this game was a joke. And while the box score might make it look like some players put up respectable numbers, there was nothing remotely dominant about the performance. When your team is playing like a full-blown dumpster fire, decent just doesn't cut it. Natasha? Howard gave a solid effort with 18 points and 9 boards, but it wasn't nearly enough to make a dent. Then there's Lexi Hull. Sure, she hit a clutch 3 and grabbed a key rebound late in the game. Sounds impressive, right? But that doesn't erase the fact that she was practically invisible on offense for most of the night. In the end, the stats may have looked okay on paper, but anyone watching could see the truth. It was Kelsey Mitchell carrying the weight, and without her, this thing would have unraveled even faster.
Do you think the refs called any fouls? No, they didn't. These refs are clowns.
Score, 99-93 in overtime, might suggest a win on paper. But let's be honest, does anyone really feel like the Fever won that game? They barely eked out a W against one of the league's weakest rosters, and it took them extra minutes just to get there. On top of that, they lost Sophie Cunningham in the process. That's not a win, that's a trade-off with a giant warning. Sign attached. Sure, the Fever walked away with the victory, but it came at a cost. And watching it unfold, it felt like something far more important than a basketball game was lost out there on that court.
Lexi Hull hit a big 3 that was the dagger at the end. Aaliyah Boston, 7 of 13, 14 points, 13 boards, a double-double there, added 5 assists.
While the spotlight might be on Kelsey Mitchell, the real cloud looming over everything is still Caitlin Clark, the league's so-called savior. The most hyped rookie in WNBA history has played what, maybe 12 or 13 games this season? That means she's missed more than 75% of the year. Let that sink in. She's the face splashed across every billboard. The name every network can't stop fawning over, and yet she's been almost completely absent from the court. Head coach Stephanie White keeps trying to sound hopeful, dropping hints that Clark might return before the season wraps. But seriously, who's buying that anymore? At this point, it's not even about whether she can come back. It's about whether she should.
In the beginning of this game, Sophie Cunningham is bringing the ball up the floor. She gets mugged, hit upside the head, knocked to the floor while dribbling the ball up the floor 75 feet away from the rim.
Fans are quickly losing hope. Playoff dreams are slipping away, and trust in the league is barely hanging on. You can only ignore the warning signs for so long before they hit you square in the face. Sophie's out. Caitlin Clark has hardly seen the floor. The Fever are unraveling, and the WNBA itself is teetering on the edge. Now the real question is this: does Caitlin risk coming back to try and salvage this disaster? Or does she stay on the sidelines and let the league face the mess it's allowed to grow? The Fever season is hanging by a thread, and the league can't pretend everything's fine anymore. So what do you think? Can Caitlin Clark really save this collapse? Or are we already past the point of no return? Right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives just like